This is Andy Peroff, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Callum Johnson here in Bolton at Gallagher's Gym. Callum, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Obviously good to hear you're doing well. We're just back into the new year. Happy New Year, and I hope you have had a good Christmas. You been up to much over the period?
Nah, not really, mate. Just a quiet one with the family. You know, training as well, keeping myself half fit while I was eating a lot of food. But nah, just a nice one really with the family.
I'm glad you've enjoyed it, but we are back now, unfortunately, getting ready for a big fight for yourself, for EBU title. Igor Mikhalkin, we've just been trying to find out how to say his last name, so in case that is wrong, we will stick with Igor from now on. But talk to me about that one, and what do you know about Igor?
He's a good fighter. I think he's only lost to Kovalev. I think he's got 2 losses actually. I think he lost early on. And I've watched that fight, or bits of the fight, and he was doing well. It was just a cut that he got stopped with. You know, he was competitive, but he was always a step behind Kovalev. You know, it's a tough fight. It's one I'm looking forward to. You know, it'd be nice to win that belt, you know, to add to the collection and before we move on. But, you know, I can't look past that fight because it is a tough fight, but I'll do everything I can to make sure I win it.
How do you kind of see the fight playing out between yourselves from having seen footage of him and considering your own style? How do you kind of see you both gelling or clashing when you are in the ring?
Again, it depends because he looks like he comes forward, puts the pressure on, but then I've seen clips of him where he's on the back foot and he's boxing as well. So it all depends what he brings, you know, what I bring. But I can do both. I can fight, I can box, I can move, I can go forward. So, you know, whatever I need to do on the night, I'll do to the best of my ability, and hopefully that'll be enough. But I believe I'll win the fight, and I believe I'll stop him because I don't believe anybody can do 12 rounds of me anyway. Even people like Berta, if he hadn't got me, I think I'd have got him. So I don't see the fight going the distance. But you know, as always, I'll make sure I've got 12 rounds in the tank.
How do you see the year playing out for yourself? Obviously, I know you've got the ambitions to challenge for another world title. You gained a lot of admirers on the back of the Berta fight. I know it wasn't the outcome you wanted, but because of the fact that you was able to drop him, a lot of people said at the time you just seemed to stun yourself a little bit as you didn't know how to react to the fact you dropped him. How do you see 2020 playing out for yourself beyond the European title?
Like you say, I mean, I heard Eddie said in an interview, if I win this fight, I'll get a world title shot. So I believe, you know, I'll fight for a world title again this year. But again, I can't look past March because, you know, it is a tough fight. You know, he's a Russian, he's a tough Russian, he's a southpaw, he can box, he can fight, and it's, again, I can't sort of slip up there. There's no room for errors, so I've got to concentrate solely on that and that only.
I know you don't want to look beyond it, but when you do consider the world champions, you've got Artur Beterbiev with WBC and the IBF, Dmitry Bivol with WBA, and WBO is vacant. What type of route do you see yourself kind of taking? I know a lot of people will be eyeing up that WBO title now because it is vacant.
I don't think that'll happen. I don't know. I think that'll probably be already sort of sorted by the time it comes for me. But I think Bivol's obviously the ideal one. That's the easy one to make. I was due to fight Bivol in October. So I think if I win this fight, I think the Bivol fight will happen, I'm guessing anyway. But then there's obviously talks of Beterbiev vacating the IBF for different reasons. So we'll see what happens. I mean, things change, you know, overnight in boxing, and you know, we can't predict the future.
I mean, 2 guys who fought for the WBA regular belt on December 28th, Jack and John Pascal. John Pascal victorious, a contentious decision once again, but what was your thoughts on their fight?
I didn't actually watch the fight. I mean, I don't really watch a great deal of boxing, but I keep an eye on what's happening. I mean, that's a fight I'd love. I'd love to fight Pascal. You know, he's a big name, he's a world champion. And again, I think it's a fight I could win. The same Badu Jack, big name, and again, I think that's a fight I could win as well. They're 2 fighters I'd like to fight. But again, I've got to beat this kid March.
Another name who I know you won't be considering fighting at this moment in time, but is with the Matchroom stable and has been linked with a soon-to-come world title fight in Joshua Buatsi. If he's to have a world title fight next or in his next couple of fights, do you feel he's ready now?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I mean, I saw Eddie mention that as well about me and him back end of the year, and he said it's saying it could be for a belt or a vacant belt, or you know what happens. I think if Beterbiev vacates, I believe Boatsi's going to get that shot. I wish he'd have vacated before me. But nah, like I say, that's a fight that I think will happen down the line, and whether it be for a world title or not, we'll see. But yeah, I'm open to anybody now because I'm not, I'm 34. I'm a young 34 though. But anyone, wherever, whenever, whoever.
You just mentioned there, you're 34. I know you've had a few years out of boxing because of personal reasons, and you haven't been that active. And when you have been, you've got this destructive power. You've been able to have your knockouts, etc. But how much longer do you see yourself boxing for? What is kind of the long-term plan for Callum Johnson?
Who knows? As long as I can perform. As long as I can perform and I can produce some of my best stuff, and I'm not getting myself good hidings, I'll box as long as I can, because it's all I've ever done. The thought of not boxing scares me. I've had a very slow, inactive career, which I think will play into my favour now down the back straight because, I am fresh. I've not got many miles on the clock, so I believe I've got a good 2 or 3 years in me. Maybe even 4, who knows? Look at Carl Froch, I think he was 38, was he, when he boxed Groves? 37, 38. You look at, Pacquiao now, he's 41? Yeah. Mayweather, I'm talking about the best in the world, but at the end of the day, if they can perform at that age, why can't I? I've lived clean all my life. I've lived clean. Maybe ate a few too many cakes, but apart from that, I've lived clean. So no, I feel good. I don't feel like I'm old. I feel like I've got plenty left in me. But only time will tell, and my performances will show that.
And just to move away from yourself and onto your campmates, start off with Jose Berta, as he's also a light heavyweight. Victorious against Bob Ajisath on December 7th in the Golden Contracts quarterfinals. Firstly, what was your thoughts on his victory there?
I thought it was brilliant. I was there, and when he put him down in that first shot, I jumped nearly at the roof. But I thought he's done. I thought it was done. Obviously, he got through it, but I think in hindsight, it's probably best that he did get through it because Jose got the good 10 rounds in, and he's been active himself really over the last year or two. So he got a good win there. He did what he wanted. He made it easy. And Jose's, with what I watched on that night, I can't see anybody troubling him, if I'm honest. I think he's got that in the bag. But again, he's still got to do it, and he's still got to perform on the night because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your last fight. And obviously his last fight was good, but you still got to produce it on the night.
I think the big surprise on the night was Ricard's Bolotnik stopping Stephen Ward in the first round. What was your thoughts on that one?
That was the only fight I missed. Because I was in the changing rooms. I saw the knockout. I mean, look, he looks a strong guy. I mean, he looks like the kind of kid you don't want to be getting it off. So, but again, I mean, I'm sure Jose's got the skills, the height, the reach, and everything else to stay away from him. But yeah, he looks dangerous with his power, and you don't want to be taking any off him.
Away from the light heavies and on to the super middleweights. Callum Smith, obviously last time out, he defeated John Ryder on points. Once again, as I said to everybody, and I'm sure you'll be aware of it, social media, a lot of people giving it to John Ryder. What was your thoughts on the fight and the scores?
On the night, I mean, I've not watched it back. On the night, the first 6 rounds, I didn't think it was close at all. I thought Callum was gone away with it. You may have gave Ryder 1 round. Second half was close. Yeah, there was a couple of rounds when John Ryder was getting some work off, and even I was thinking, come on, move, Cole, move. But I think people watched the last few rounds and saw John Ryder doing really well, and like I say, they forget about the first 6 rounds and then the so you got 6 rounds where Callum won, yeah. And then the last 6, you could probably split it 3-3, or even if you give Ryder it 4-2, Callum wins the fight. Yeah, John did better than we thought he would. He got some good work off back end of the fight. But listen, it's boxing, it's a tough sport, and you're going to take some knocks, and you're going to get caught, and you're going to have some tough rounds, and you're going to have close fights. But just because that's the case, it doesn't mean you've lost the fight. But again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. My opinion was on the night, I thought Callum got it. I've not watched it back since, but I thought Callum won the fight.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, as to what's next for Callum. Beforehand, he was looking at possibly Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, Golovkin's name was mentioned. What do you see happening next for Callum?
Again, obviously he wants that Canelo fight, like everybody does. I think obviously Billy Joe's got the belt as well, and that'd be a big British fight. But I don't know. Like you say, it's not my career. I'm not looking after him. I can't really say what's next for him. But I know obviously he wants a Canelo fight. Whether that happens or not, we're yet to find out.
If Joe was to come in on training tomorrow and he would say to you and to Callum, Canelo wants to fight one of you, at either light heavy or super middle, who decides and how do you decide?
I don't know. I'll say you've got more money than me. Let me have it. Nah, like I say, I mean, if that come up for me, I'll jump at the chance. Of course I would, because it's life changing. It's a life changing fight. It's life changing money, and it's a life changing opportunity. And it's the same for everybody in Britain, in the world. Everybody wants it. He's like the new Mayweather. You know, everybody wants that fight, and you know. But also at the same time, you got to think he's only come up from middleweight. You know, Callum's a big super middleweight, and same with myself. I'm a big light heavyweight. I'm a strong light heavyweight, and I look at Canelo and think, you know, I could beat him. You know, it's crazy, really. But you know, there's weight categories in boxing for a reason. And yeah, he beat Kovalev, but I think Kovalev is done. I think Kovalev was done before, and I don't think he'd have beat a Kovalev of 2-3 years ago. But yeah, everyone wants that Canelo fight, don't they? Of course.
And a word as well on Sam Hyde. Sam obviously fights next Sunday against Dion Juma for the English Cruiserweight title, which is also a final eliminator for the British Cruiserweight title. Your thoughts on Sam's camp and how that fight will play out?
He's looking good. He's looking lean. He's looking strong. He's been training well. As I say, he's been in all over Christmas. Christmas Day he was in. I'll come in. I'll train with him the day after Boxing Day, and he's dedicated. He's focused. You know, and he's got one plan, and his plan's to win. Dion Juma is a good fighter, a good amateur. Again, I've not seen too much of him, but I believe Sam can win that fight, and I believe he will, and I'm looking forward to it, you know, because he's the only guy at the gym, really, that I don't think has won a title yet, so we're all like, sort of, come on, you got to join the club, and, you know, he's a nice fella, he's a nice kid, and I really hope he does it.
Finally, before I do let you shoot off, just a couple of fights I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, on the back end of last year, Ruiz-Joshua 2, Anthony Joshua reclaiming the unified world heavyweight titles. What were your thoughts on his performance and victory there, Callum? Don't tell me you didn't watch that one.
You're going to tell me. I didn't watch it.
Oh.
I didn't watch it. I've not seen it. I believe he boxed really well, though, from what I've heard. You know, I expected the same. I expected that on the first fight, if I'm honest. I said before the first fight to somebody, I think Joshua will win, but I think Ruiz could give him problems. Don't be surprised if it sort of goes wrong. And I expected the same sort of thing, but I believe he won the fight easy. You know, so good, fair play to him to come back from a knockout defeat in your first fight and return it that way. You know, it's you can only give him credit for that.
I know Walden Fury 2 is only around the corner now, but currently, how would you rank the heavyweight scene?
Fury number one. I've always said that before the Wilder fight, before AJ got beat, I always believed Fury was the best. I believe he is the best. I believe he'll beat Wilder again. He said he never got the decision, but I just believe it'll be a similar fight this time. But maybe he won't get that heavy knockdown, which maybe cost him the fight. But again, with Wilder's power, he only just take one, and 12 rounds is a long time to stay away. So it's one of them. No one really knows because of Wilder's power.
I mean, just quickly get your thoughts as well. Obviously, Tyson changing training now, joining Sugar Hill Steward. The nephew of Emanuel Steward, the great but late Emanuel Steward. What are your thoughts on the change there from Ben Davies?
Again, it's something that I don't really think a lot about, because at the end of the day, it's not me. It's not my career. It's not my training camp. It's not. So for me to have an opinion on that, it doesn't really count for anything. But I'd imagine he knows what he's doing. I mean, Manny Steward was renowned to be arguably the best coach ever, especially for heavyweights. So he's obviously going to a place that breeds success, breeds top fighters, and Tyson obviously knows what he wants himself. So, for me to have an opinion on it, doesn't really mean nothing. But like I say, good luck to him, and I'm sure he's doing the right thing.
Well, Callum, we will leave it there now, because I know you've waited the longest out of everybody, but I appreciate you hanging around, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch up with you soon. Thank you for giving up your time to speak to myself on Boxing Social.
I'll enjoy the rest of the day. I've still got another session to do, but I'll enjoy the night. I'll sleep well.
I hope you do, Callum. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Callum.